so I appreciate all you guys coming out today. We do have a good turnout for this event, and just for those of you who are new, if you haven't, the Fridays of the quarter are balanced between technical topics, I guess, and business topics. This is one of the business topics, I guess, and as I like to tell people, I said, you can have the best product. If you haven't sold anything, you're in trouble. You won't last very long. So we have Jake here today. Jake is the founder and CEO of Pier, a company that overtly declares that they work with startups and entrepreneurial folks, and primarily in the web and mobile space. And we talked about doing a presentation, and he had 3 wonderful presentations. So don't be surprised if you see him back in the spring. This is a critically important topic, I think. So but Pier basically as a company helps entrepreneurs with building lean yet scalable web and mobile apps. And I think one thing that's sort of unique about Jake's approach is, for a lot of us basically who've been there, he tells you what it's going to cost you ahead of time and when he's going to deliver. That's kind of a rarity basically in some of the folks develop web and mobile apps. So without further ado, Jake, thanks. And I think yours is not a PowerPoint but a presentation of just
So what I'm going to do is probably a little different than what most people do. I'm not going to, I have a slideshow, but we're not going to stick to it. What I want to do is just get really transparent with everybody and show you exactly what our sales funnel is. Partially because our first sales and marketing person started this week, so this is like a nice training session. But also because when I was growing my business, Pier's been around for about 2 years now. The first year and a half, probably actually about the first year, I was completely lost. I'm not a salesperson, I'm not a marketing person. He actually mentioned how this is a business talk and not a technical talk. Well, I'm a technical person. I'm not a sales guy. No background in marketing, no background in sales. And so I kind of had to build this thing from scratch with no team, no employees, nothing. And so what I'm going to do is exit the slideshow probably pretty quick here, just because I hate slideshows, and just dive into some of the tools that we use at Pier to kind of build our sales funnel and actually show you Pier's actual sales funnel. Which I know for some businesses is risky because you're like, well, our competitors might steal it and stuff, but they could if they wanted to anyway. So, but anyway, we'll get right into it. So, the first thing I'm going to do is start off with what's a sales funnel before I get into what Pier does. A sales funnel is basically a way to convert cold traffic into warm leads and then eventually turn warm leads into actual sales. Okay. Now the sales funnel term has been around probably for years now, but it's really started picking up speed over the last about year and a half. Marketing and sales professionals, which I'm sure there's some in the room, have been looking for a way to define the process of taking somebody from the top of the marketing pipeline all the way down to the bottom of the sales pipeline and close a deal, and making sure those people work together. Defining a sales funnel does exactly that. It lets people know who are in marketing, hey, your job is to get people from cold traffic into warm traffic, and then it helps salespeople know your job is to get people from warm traffic into hot traffic and then eventually close the sale. So this is where I started talking about Pier. So about 2 years ago, I was working at a big software development company in town called Spark. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. I wasn't doing any sales and marketing, like I said. I was doing requirements analysis, which is, my job was really to go between the clients and the developers and translate between the two, because developers really speak a different language than everybody else, right? And so for clients, they needed somebody who was kind of like their liaison, somebody who could go back and forth between them and the development team and make sure that what they wanted was clearly defined and documented appropriately so the project was successful. I hated government work, to be honest. That's the biggest reason why I left Spark. It was a great place to work. I have a lot of respect for them, but it just wasn't a good fit for me, being an entrepreneur at heart anyway. But when I was there, Spark was really good about letting people go to events like this. And I saw a lot of entrepreneurs in the community, saw a problem that nobody was really solving, which was, how do startups with little money get anything built, technically speaking. I was a requirements analyst, and I tried to build a couple of products on the side, hiring freelancers. And it was hard for me to manage developers, and for a lot of startups that have little to no money, that's what they're stuck with, is trying to manage freelancers on their own, and that's not easy. Not easy, not just for you, but also not easy for the developers who are doing freelance work, because, again, you two speak 2 different languages. So the other solution for a lot of those startups was going to an agency like Spark, who had a lot of big box clients, who had a lot of big commercial projects, who had a lot of big government projects, and the hourly rate for the startups was just not something they could afford. So I started Launch Pier with a goal of servicing those startups who were very early stage that a lot of people kind of left behind. And we lost track of that almost right away. I saw a lot of my friends in the community who had agencies. I'm sure there's some people here that were making a lot of money doing government work, big commercial work. And everybody that does B2B sales knows that the bigger the project and the more money it is, after $250,000 up to millions of dollars, those sales cycles last a long time. I mean, you're thinking 3 to 6 plus months trying to convince somebody to work with you. And when, for us as a young agency, which was really just me and my wife and 2 developers, we didn't have 6 months to not make revenue. I started the business with no money in our bank account. It wasn't like I sold something and had like $100,000 sitting there to use. It was, if you don't make revenue quickly, we're not going to be able to pay our bills. And so it kind of forced me to start thinking, not in terms of what everybody else is doing, because what everybody else was doing wasn't going to work for us, but how to start over from scratch. And so we threw everything out in December of this last year, after losing focus before, and decided, okay, how can we refocus on that target group that we wanted to serve, which was startups. The reason nothing worked before that was because our product didn't work for the startups. Startups don't need the traditional 6-month sales cycle. They don't need an agency that's going to take 3 to 4 weeks just figuring out how much they can afford. What startups need is more of a transparent focus. I feel like a lot of startups are afraid to talk to an agency because they see it like Mad Men, right? Where they're just like a bunch of guys drinking scotch, like making tons of money. And sometimes that is the case, especially when you walk into some agencies and their offices are like immaculate, and the startup is still living in their mom's basement trying to figure out how to do anything. And so we kind of flipped everything around, put our pricing up on our website. So if you go to launchpier.com, you'll see our hourly rate is right there, $95 an hour. You'll see we have packages defined for our specific target group, which is startups. And that there's very specific reasons that we did that and reasons why it worked. And I just want to give you some background because it definitely has to go into what to do before you build your sales funnel. So before you build your sales funnel, the first thing you need to do is define who your ideal customer is. When I was at Spark, our ideal customer was anybody that had money, which is not a good target customer. Those people are hard to find. And not only are they hard to find, they're hard to identify demographically, they're hard to market to, they're hard to, unless you have a lot of money or rely on referrals completely, which we couldn't do because we were small, you're going to die a pretty slow death, especially in the service business. So one of the things you need to do is define your core demographic, and try to get as specific as possible. For us, I mean, we get pretty specific with it, and I'll show you our Facebook ads that we run. With Facebook ads, and just like a lot of the ad platforms, you can get specific up to like, I want to target 22 to 24-year-old women who like these fashion blogs, who are pregnant and got married within the last year. Like, you can literally target people that specifically. Now, that year that I told you that we were kind of lost at Launch Pier, not knowing what we were doing, it was because we didn't have a demographic. I saw a lot of my friends at other agencies who didn't have a sales funnel, and it seemed like they were doing just fine. So why did I need to pick a demographic? I should be able to do anything for anybody and be fine. The problem with that is a lot of times that those agencies or other B2B companies are relying a lot on referrals, or taking people to halls and wooing them with fancy drinks and fancy steak dinners and stuff. And honestly, that's just not me. I would never be good at that. So I knew we had to do something else. So that year that we were lost, we didn't have a demographic. We were just relying on getting a sale from whatever events we decided to sponsor, or friends decided to mention us in something. Once we started focusing on a single demographic, which was early stage startups, non-technical founders, ones who haven't raised money yet, ones who had between anywhere from $3,000 to $50,000 to spend on their idea, that's when we started really ironing out how to build our sales funnel. So with your demographic, get as specific as you possibly can. That's the most important thing. And I know a lot of you think exactly what I thought the whole year that I was considering doing a sales funnel, which is, well, if I choose a demographic, I'm going to scare other people away. One, I'm going to show you how that doesn't have to happen. LaunchPier is very specific, where we scare people away right on our website. If you're an enterprise client, you go to our website and it says right there, smack you in the face, like, we build startups, you're probably going to leave the website, which for us is fine, but not every business has to go as far as we do. So I'm going to show you a couple ways that you don't have to do that. The other thing is, when you're thinking about your target demographic, make sure you write it down and document it for not just you, but your entire team. Because it doesn't just affect how you do your sales, it also affects how you serve those customers. It affects what your products are. It affects the language you put behind that product, the questions you ask a prospect, all of that stuff. And so I'll show you our current website and show you that we have very specific language on there targeting these startups, and you can change that language to target somebody else pretty quickly if you wanted to, but we made specific decisions to target that group, and you can do the same thing that we did. So demographics. Now I'm going to talk to you about the difference between cold versus warm traffic, just to make sure everyone's on the same page. Cold traffic is somebody who has no idea who you are. They've never heard of you before, and they may or may not be looking for your solution right now. So these are people who are trolling the internet, just looking around, maybe find a blog post or whatever. These are people who've never heard of your brand before. Their friends haven't told them about you or anything. Warm traffic is people who have heard about you before, maybe aren't interested yet, but they've seen your blog posts, they've seen your booth at an event, a friend's told them about you, and so they're at least in the back of their mind, they know about you. So when you do go to try to close that sale, or when you go try to make that sale, they already know who you are. Now, I didn't put hot traffic up here because I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Those are people who are looking to buy right now, and they are looking for a solution that will fit their needs. So I kind of wanted to go into that real quick first. The other thing before you build that you want to do in terms of other than demographics is content. And the reason I said to write down who your demographic was, it's because every piece of content on your website or your social media platform or whatever you use, even the talks that you go talk at, the booths that you use to sponsor at whatever events, that's all content. I mean, you are portraying a brand, and you need to make sure that it's specific to that target group that you have. For us, we have a lot of different content channels, and I'll be honest, like the blog posts that we wrote in the beginning were freaking horrible. I was terrible at blogging, so I ended up hiring somebody to do it recently. But the reason that I did that was because I knew how important it was. Blogging is not that important for a business that relies on referrals or relies on long sales cycles, because for you, you're more about building a relationship like one-to-one over phone calls, emails, whatever. For a business that's relying on their sales funnel to generate leads, to get people from the cold side to the warm side, content is everything, because you're relying on whatever's online that can be found about you to convince that person to buy from you. Whether it's a $10 product, I've spent months sometimes trying to figure out what CRM to use, and those are what, $30 to $50 a month? It's nothing. But then I also know people, we've closed deals this week where they're $50,000 and I've known the person for a week, but they were in our sales pipeline for the last 2 months, reading our blog posts, looking at our social media, talking to their friends online about us, and stuff like that. So when you're creating content, make sure that you're creating content for that specific user. We'll get into tools of the trade in a minute, but what I wanted to do is kind of go to our website and give you an example of what we have and talk to you about a little bit about our sales funnel. So, the resolution's a little weird, but the right away when you go to our website, like, it just smacks you in the face. The reason for that is we made a conscious decision to turn away other people on our website. You have to think of your website and your social media stuff as a magnet, right? The more you attract one side, the more you're going to push away another side. And so the more that we cater to a specific startup or entrepreneur like this, the more we're pushing away an enterprise client who might be wanting to spend $250,000, $1 million, $2 million, $5 million on something. But we made that decision because we wanted to focus on this specific type of client. That's not to say that we don't get sales from nonprofits, enterprise clients, but our message is very clear. So if you're an entrepreneur or a startup that goes to our website, the chances of you contacting us is pretty high. So for our website, we have about a 5% conversion rate on our website for people who actually opt in to schedule a call or something. The other thing that we have is we have all of our content, catered to that specific group. So we have testimonials from actual startups. Do these guys look like enterprise people to you? No. One of them looks like a high school kid, and the other one looks like, a fisherman or something. And I can make fun of them because I'm friends with both of these guys. But they've been clients for a while. We did that for a reason. I have testimonial videos from clients who are in business suits, from clients who got a professional video taken, or we paid to get a professional video taken for the testimonial. But doing a lot of testing, we realized that doesn't work, because when you're selling to a client, you have to get them to make a small leap. Like, you have to get them to make a leap of faith that one day you can go from not having anything to being like these two guys, which is a very realistic leap of faith, considering like the first thing you see is like these are just normal dudes, like they're nothing special, right? But if I had put an enterprise type client, or a client that I said like they went from working with us to raising $20 million, that would be unrealistic. People would assume like there's no way I can do that, and they just jump off the site because they assume that we're over-promising something. Here we can promise them something really easy. These two clients are mid-range clients. Their projects were anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000. They paid over time. They started off with a very small package, but they can put themselves in the shoes of these two guys that are very average, and that's a realistic jump for them to make. So there's a reason for that, and that's another thing about content. Our testimonials, we put specific testimonials on our website to get people to make that leap, and it's mostly about trusting us and the value we provide. The 100 Startups in 2 years thing is just another way to build trust and credibility with people. Here's where the content gets a little more in depth. So I don't recommend doing this much content. Even for us, I feel like sometimes we have too much content. We started a podcast a few weeks ago just as another piece of content. Have a blog that's been going on for a while. We have a course that we created to help people raise money. You don't need all this. You probably just need one thing. The reason for the content, though, is just to build that authority, to prove to people that you know what you're talking about, for one, and two, give them something to look at during the month, 2 months, 6 months that they're not buying from you yet. Create something that you can use to publish on social media, so that way when they follow you, when they're not interested and they see that you keep publishing every day or every week or every month, that they know that you're still alive. There's been a lot of businesses that I go to their blogs and like they haven't blogged in 6 months, and I'm like, I mean, if you guys can't keep them on your blog, like, come on. Like, why should I work with you? If that's the case and that's you, just shut the blog off. It's probably a lot better that way. One thing you'll notice on our website, though, as opposed to other agencies, is that we didn't tell you one time that we do web and mobile development on here. Not once. And that's our whole business, is web and mobile development. All we talk about is things that are going to help that person make the decision. We work with startups. We have curated services, upfront pricing, outcome focused. Not one time do I say that we build web and mobile apps, that we've worked with Department of Veteran Affairs, that we've built $150,000 products, none of that stuff. And that's because for our sales funnel, we're trying to build trust first. If somebody wants to find out all that stuff, they can go to another page, or they can schedule a call. And so for your sales funnel, when you're thinking about what to have on your website, don't go overboard. Put on there only exactly what's going to convince that person to schedule that call or to have that free trial. You don't need to go overboard and do anything insane. For us, if somebody really wanted to find out anything more, they could go to our FAQ page and click on some of the drop downs and see what our hourly rate is, how much will my project cost, blah, blah, blah. And so for our sales funnel, our website is pretty much everything. That's like the keeper of the kingdom. And so for our sales funnel, it starts at the website. If you go visit our website, which I'm sure some of you will do, You're going to get annoyed pretty quickly of all the Facebook ads and stuff you start getting now, so you're welcome. And that's because our sales funnel has been built over about the last 2 years now. When I first started our sales funnel, it was pretty simple. I'm going to do some whiteboard drawings now. And this is probably the most simple sales funnel you can build. So here's your sales funnel right here. And this is the sale, and this is the cold traffic. So our sales funnel was really easy at first. It was blogs or the website, and I'm talking about any page on the website, and then going to Facebook ads, and then going to call scheduling. Now, in terms of blogs, we would target people who went to any part of our website, including our blog page, and target them with these Facebook ads. Because the people that visited here were cold traffic, right? I mean, most of the time. And if they were warm traffic, we didn't care, like that was good. But we would try to target people who had never seen our brand before. We would publish content all the time. A lot of people who clicked on our articles, because the articles that we wrote were for a specific demographic, we knew that if you went to our blog and read about, sales tactics for startups, or how to hire a development team, or how to build your first product, or how to market your startup, creating the perfect business plan, the 5 business mistakes new founders make. If you saw that on social media and you clicked on it, there's a very high likelihood that you're our ideal client, or at least you were at some point, or know somebody who is. And so our first sales funnel was just this. We would do a bunch of social media stuff. If somebody clicked on our blogs or went to our website, we would target them with Facebook ads. And the Facebook ads were really just to get people to schedule a call. That was it. That's all we had. It's really simple, not a lot to it, and it was really terrible. But it did the job. It was better than what we were doing before. And the reason for that, the reason it worked is because it was simple and it let us do a lot of metrics on how to improve it. And so that was our first sales funnel. If you saw our sales funnel now, it's actually a heck of a lot more complicated. And my team members in this room, like Belinda and Annie, can attest to that. Me trying to explain it takes a while, but I'm going to give you like the boilerplate version. So instead of just the blog now, like any blog post, we now have it to specific blog posts. So I'm not just targeting people on just going to our blog period. It's which article do they read on our blog, because if they read the difference between a good idea and a good product, it means they're probably in the idea stage, like they're still trying to figure out what their idea even is. But if they read 5 biggest mistakes new founders make, it means they've probably already made the leap to start their startup already. Or creating the perfect business plan, it probably means they're trying to raise money right now. If they read your idea actually sucks, that headline still gets me. Our blog writer's amazing, and that definitely gets a lot of clicks on Facebook. But if they read your great idea actually sucks, it means they probably have an idea already and they're worried that their idea sucks. How not to find a mentor, they're probably trying to raise money. IP for startups, they're worried that somebody's going to steal their idea. Like every blog post has a specific reason behind it. When we first started blogging, that wasn't the case. It was just like, let's just blog and try to get cold traffic to our website and then convert them once they got to our website with whatever. Our sales funnel now is a lot more broken up, where now we target them if they clicked on a startup's guide to working with developers, right? If they click on that, on Facebook we retarget them with an ad that goes to, here it is, to this. So what this is a cheat sheet, so 10 questions to ask a potential development team. What that does for us is it further solidifies the fact that this person's our ideal customer. You can have 100 people click on the blog post about, the development team, right? And a lot of people just click on the blog post. Half the time they don't even read it, right? Like I'm sure a lot of people in here, like you click on a blog post, or maybe you see the headline and you like it on social media, and then you just skip right over it, right? Like nobody reads anything anymore, which is fine. We understand that when we write our blog posts. Actually, LinkedIn did a research survey, I think it was like 6 months ago or something, that said 92% of people that like something on LinkedIn never click on the thing to actually read it. They just like it. It's just crazy. And for somebody like me who was so hard up on writing blog posts, when I saw that, I was like, why am I even doing this anymore? And that's when we decided to do the podcast. But still, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? Because when they like that, when you like something on there, you're liking their brand too. And so you're seeing their brand over and over again in your social media feed. So for us, we went from blog to website to call schedule. Now we're at blog, okay, which blog, to lead magnet, from a Facebook ad, which is the cheat sheet. So now we know that out of the 100 people that clicked on the blog post, that they're all going to get this ad in their Facebook feed, every single one, but only 2 or 3 are actually going to click on the download link on Facebook and actually try to download this. And of those people, we know the only people that are going to go through the trouble of clicking on this and leaving their website or and leaving their email, knowing full well that we're going to market them afterwards. We're going to market to them afterwards. Like when you leave your email address that people are going to try to market to you. Those are the kind of people, those 2 or 3 out of the 100 are the people who are our ideal customers, which is perfect for us. Now we don't have to focus any time on the 98 out of 100 that a lot of other businesses are trying to focus on. A lot of businesses, when they don't have a sales funnel, they're focusing on 100 out of 100. Like, I'm going to spend all my marketing dollars on getting everybody I possibly can to buy from me. Now, after a week, we know, okay, 2 people out of the 100 that read our article last Saturday, downloaded the report. So now I don't care at all about the other 98. They're still going to get targeted with other Facebook ads and stuff, and that's totally fine. But right now, me and Annie and Belinda, all we have to do is focus on those 2 people who actually left their email address. And now I don't have to chase them down. They gave me their email, which is great. Now I don't have to worry about how to contact them anymore. And so that's kind of the top of our sales funnel. So going back to what our sales funnel is now, it's whatever blog post they clicked on. That's first. From there, what we do is we have FB ads. Now, there's a lot of people who aren't sure what they want to do in the next step of their sales funnel. In terms of like, should I do ads? Should I do cold calling? Should I, do cold emailing? And unfortunately, the answer to that is it really kind of just depends. Traditionally, for an agency like ours, Facebook ads don't work. The only reason they work for us is because we knew who that target demographic was right away. Like, we knew it was startup founders. We knew it was entrepreneurs between 20 and 35 who follow Inc. magazine, who follow Fortune magazine, who have an income between $40,000 and $100,000 a year. Like, we put that on paper and we could figure that out. And that's not to say nobody else is in our demographic, but when we're running ads, I don't have $20,000 to spend on Facebook ads to target everybody. I have, $20 a day, like most of you, like to spend on Facebook ads. Like, I don't have $1 million budget. And even if you work at a sales department at a big firm, they're not going to want, when you go in there and talk to the CEO, they're not going to want to hear, well, I need thousands of dollars, to spend every day on whatever ad platform I decide to use. And when they ask you, okay, who are you targeting with it? Everybody. Like, okay, like, that's not going to work for me. Like, you need to go in there and say, like, the first thing we're going to do is target, entrepreneurs between 20 and 25 who recently graduated college, who follow Inc. magazine, specifically the startup section of Inc. magazine, who live with their parents still, or whatever it is. And we tested a lot when we were trying to figure out what our sales funnel was, and it's still not perfect. And even now, like, I still go back and forth on who our target demographic is, and it changes every day. A business that, if you're in business for a year focusing on startups, you're probably going to get the guys like on our website. Very young, idealistic, they have a new idea. But now that we've been in business 2 years, we're getting a lot more clients who are corporate, who've started 5 startups before, who are in their 40s, who have been around the block, who know technology themselves, and that's because we've done what it takes to get them to trust us. So our target demographic changes probably every few weeks, which is, sales and marketing is a constant job. For your situation, if you're thinking about what to do in terms of what ad platforms to do, I say one of the strategies that we use is called marketing sprints. So what you would do in a marketing sprint is there are 2-week sprints. So for 2 weeks, focus on running ads on just one platform. Okay. So our first platform that we thought we were going to be successful on was Twitter. Twitter sucked. It sucked for us, and we just assumed. I mean, if you're a startup founder, entrepreneur, and everybody in this room probably has some inkling to be an entrepreneur, you assume that Twitter would be a good place to go because Twitter's the only social media platform I use. I don't even use Facebook. I mean, my wife knows like I'm terrible at posting stuff. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll probably see like I haven't posted anything in a year. But I'm on Twitter every single day, tweeting about everything. I'm sure people in this room are tweeting right now. And so we just assumed Twitter was going to work. We ran a 2-week sprint with Twitter. Actually, we ran 3 2-week sprints on Twitter because the first sprint I was like, nah, it can't be that terrible. And then we ran the second sprint. I was like, wait, like no, seriously, like it can't be that bad. And then the third sprint, I was like, all right, like we've spent a few $100 now, like it's not going to work for us. So what we decided to do was move on to. Second thing we moved on to was LinkedIn ads. We ran 2 sprints of that, didn't work. Moved on to Google ads, so like the ads that nobody clicks on when you do a Google search, and they're at the top, and you see the little yellow thing next to it, and you're like, I'm not clicking on that. Those ads, we tried that. Those didn't work. And then we decided, like, do we really want to run Facebook ads? Just because I wasn't a huge fan of Facebook ads to begin with. But we started running Facebook ads, and at 1 sprint later, it was working. So what I would say is, if I were you, run 2-week sprints. Try to spend somewhere between like $20 to $40 a day. And I'm saying that now because a little hypocritically, when I first started running ads, I was literally just spending $5 a day just to figure it out, and I didn't have a lot of money anyway. LaunchPeer's revenue last year was terrible. I mean, we were barely able to stay afloat. We were 4 people that like could barely pay our bills. Now we are 12 people, probably 14 or 15 within the next month or so. We just moved out of the corridor about 2 months ago to an office in West Ashley, and we've 16x'd our revenue from all of last year combined already, and we probably will 18x it by the end of the year. And I could say it's all attributed. Most of it's attributed to the sales funnel. So anyway, run 2-week sprints. Facebook ads work for us. They might not work for you. Don't be surprised if they don't work for you. The next part is when you run Facebook ads. When I say run 2-week sprints, it's that first Facebook ad. What we have now in our sales funnel is we don't run just one Facebook ad. We run multiple Facebook ads over months. So the first Facebook ad is really that cheat sheet that I showed you, so a lead magnet. Okay. And we usually run this one to somebody from day 0, which is the day that they read our blog, all the way to day 7. Okay. From there, if they opted in to that lead magnet, they get cut off. They don't get any more Facebook ads because we don't want to piss them off. From there, we do services carousel, and I'll show you all these ads in a second so you actually see them. From day 7 to day 14. And then we do a podcast carousel from day 14 to day 21. And then we do blogs from day 21 to day 30. And then we just go to call schedule from day 30 to day 45. And then from day 45 to 60, we do the blogs and the podcasts. And then after that, if they haven't opted in by day 60, we're still selling because now I'm sending them to Facebook ads that say, you should refer your friend to us and earn $5,000. So, because really at the end of the day, if they got into this sales funnel, it means they looked at one of those blog posts, which means they're an entrepreneur, a startup founder, or they know somebody who is, which is why they clicked on it. If they haven't decided to buy within this time, it means they probably know other people who might be willing to. And so now we're trying to get them to move on from maybe not wanting to buy from us to, maybe they'd tell their friends to buy. But I'm going to show you our Facebook ads real quick so you can see. So this is our the first Facebook ad that people usually see. And right now this is just to cold traffic. So one of the questions that a lot of people have is like, well, how do you get cold traffic if nobody's going to your website? Well, you can't. You can't just get people to go to your website unless you pay for it. So what we do is we have this ad running, which is really just a really clear call to action right here. Like, are you a tech startup founder? With Facebook video ads, this is a video ad, but we made it from a podcast with a startup in town called Wave, actually, which is pretty cool. What they do is if you watch this video for 3 seconds, that's how Facebook determines. You watch this video for 3 seconds, they look at that like a page view. So they let you target people who watch it for 3 seconds like you can target people who visited your website, which is really cool. Because we were paying about $2 per click to get people to our website. But with this video, we're spending about 4 cents per video view, which means 4 cents to get somebody to that top of the funnel, which is cheap. When I found that out, I was like, oh my God, I spent $10,000 on ads, and I could have spent like $100 on ads and gotten the same thing. But anyway, that's the first ad they see. And again, content is king. Like, thinking of raising money for a startup, raise that confidence level. Investors want to hear from you. Like, are you a tech startup founder? Like, that's all our target market. If somebody clicks on this, we know that they're in that ballpark. The next thing, here's that services carousel, or the blog post carousel I told you about. So this is just a carousel of all those different blog posts that we run. So this is the second ad that people usually get. And then you have the services carousel, which is a list of every one of our services and what it is on here. And they can go to our website. They can click whichever one of these they want and go to that specific one. And then the next thing is our testimonial video. So we kind of sprinkle the testimonial video in about right here. And the only reason I'm not going into detail on all this stuff, because it doesn't matter. Like, this isn't how our sales funnel was when we first started. When we first started, it was, like I said, go into a blog, go to try to schedule a call. It doesn't matter what your sales funnel is. What you have to do is you have to pick a demographic and focus on building trust with that individual person. For us, building trust means, making sure they go to our blogs, making sure they go to our podcasts, making sure that they see testimonial videos, making sure they come back to our website. That's what building trust is for us. For building trust for you, it means something different, because if your product's $10, it means you don't got to build a lot of trust. If your product is $100,000, then you got to build some trust. So anyway, that's that. So tools of the trade. So I'm going to tell you guys about just a few tools that you can use to build your own sales funnel. Just the ones that are our favorite. So Drift is probably one of my favorite tools. You see this little chat bubble right here? That's what Drift is. It's $40 a month, and basically site visitors can chat with you directly. So like me, Annie, Belinda are all on Drift. So if you go to our website today and you ask us a question, we can actually answer your question right there. If you don't have time for that, I want to do it. Lead Pages is a landing page builder. So this page that you saw back here, that's built with Lead Pages. What it does is it just lets you drag and drop and create a landing page really easily, instead of like you having to hire a developer to build a whole new website. And so what we use that for is specifically for lead magnets, and that's why it's called Lead Pages. That's what it's for. It's to help you build landing pages that let you capture people's contact information or email address without being a developer. As much as I want you to hire us to build a landing page, that's completely unnecessary. There's so many tools out there now to do it. CoSchedule is basically like a content planning tool. So it lets you schedule when your posts come out. It lets you schedule not only blog posts but also Facebook posts, tweets. And the reason I like CoSchedule is because if you didn't use this, you'd just be blogging and tweeting, like you're blogging and tweeting right now probably, or a Facebook post, right? Well, me and Annie were talking about this yesterday. If I get really itchy to blog 1 week or to tweet 1 week, and I tweet for a whole week, and then it's like it dies down, well then my Twitter feed just dries up, right? What CoSchedule lets you do is just recycle that content, so you don't have to constantly be doing it. We have tweets and Facebook posts going out every day at Pier, and we're not actually doing it. They're just scheduled to go out, which is cool. Drip is our email marketing tool. So what Drip lets you do is it lets you basically write rules where, hey, if they clicked on this blog post and they opted into a certain page, target them with this email sequence, which is like if they're looking to raise money, I target them with an email sequence talking about, hey, like look at this client of ours that raised money, or hey, we can help you raise money, or look at these investors we know. But if they clicked on the blog post about how to hire a development team, I target them with an email campaign of, hey, you should. Here's some tips to hiring a development team, or hey, if you're looking at hiring a freelancer, you should look at these things, just to build more trust based on their role.
How are you getting their email just from a blog click?
So what we're doing is the blog click, we don't get their email. The blog click is nothing really. What we're getting their email from is those lead magnets. Like if they go and click on the 10 questions to ask the potential development team, they get put into the email sequence of, trusting a development team, which is like, hey, like look at Pier, like we haven't been late on a project in, a year, whatever we decide to put in there. So that's how they're getting in that.
Does Drip allow you to do like a bulk upload, or is it one-off?
Yeah, it lets you do a bulk upload. So if I think I have to go into settings and do that, but yeah, I had it. Oh, here it is. Imports bulk ops, and you can bulk
So you
upload.
can just download a CSV of all the
Yeah.
users you're capturing through your lead magnet, and then do a bulk upload, and then
Yep.
do a sequence with Drip campaign, just dropping them in.
Yep, exactly. And when you do an import too, you can also tag people with it too. And so yeah. So anyway, to recap before I start answering a lot of questions, sales funnel, demographics is like number 1. 2 is build trust, and that's with content. For these people, it's content for that group. Don't forget that. The next thing is, closing. We didn't talk a lot about closing because with the sales funnel, you should get to the point where you don't have to close that sale. Well, they're closing it for you. Right now, Pier sales cycles are 2 weeks long, and these are for $50,000 to $60,000 projects. But they're not really 2 weeks long. They're 2 weeks where I'm actually talking to the client. They were looking at us months before that, just like they're looking at you right now. If you're running a business, whether it's a SaaS product or a service-based product, your prospects are looking at everything you're doing online. They're looking at your Twitter, your Facebook. They're looking at whether they know it or not. It doesn't matter. Just like why do you think car companies spend millions of dollars on advertisements during our favorite shows like The Walking Dead? I was watching The Walking Dead last week, and it was like a 30-minute episode and 30 minutes worth of commercials, and I was like, this is ridiculous. But why do companies spend that money to do it? You're probably not going to buy a Range Rover right now, but you're going to buy a Range Rover in 6 months because you saw a bunch of commercials and you didn't even realize it. So that's what a sales funnel is getting people to buy and start thinking about buying before they even know they want it. That's what a sales funnel is. But anyway, yeah, I'll take questions. I know it was kind of a lot to process. And teaching somebody about a sales funnel in 45 minutes is difficult. So what I told Ernest to do was to give everybody my contact information. And if you had any questions about your specific sales funnel, I wouldn't charge you. I would just answer your question. Because really, at the end of the day, I mean, in December, I thought I was going to quit. I was thinking about just shutting everything down because it just wasn't working. And the thing that changed it was throwing out the window what I thought was what you're supposed to do in business and start doing things that traditional agencies don't do, like building a sales funnel. And once that started taking off, everything worked out. But if you're thinking like, I don't know if this is going to work, like give me a call and I'll convince you otherwise. But anyway, yeah, I'll take questions now.
What CRM system did you end up choosing?
So I use Trello right now. Don't make fun of me.
Trello.
Yeah, Trello all the way. But I've used a ton of different CRMs. If you've named one, I've probably used it. ProsperWorks, Contactually, HubSpot. I just can't find one that I really like that much. And Trello is just really easy. Actually, I can show you our Trello really quick so you don't see all the sales that we have in our pipeline. In case there's any competitors here, but this is our sales pipeline. We have new, meeting scheduled, create an estimate, create proposal, proposal sent, won, waiting, abandoned. All these right here are within the last 2 weeks. And that's for a software development company. Most of those projects are between $30,000 and $50,000. When I was at Spark, we were lucky to close 4 to 5 projects a year. And so that's, again, goes to like know who your target customer is and know how to find them. So anyway, any other questions? Yeah.
So You have Trulio, you talked about 3 or 4 other vendors you're using. So
Yeah.
you guys have multiple systems for one
Yeah.
strategy right now. So are you integrating to go with the ecosystem type of play, or are you guys just doing multiple logins?
Yeah, right now we're just doing multiple logins.
And how are you transferring the data so you can track the email, when the automatic emails are going out, to plug it back into the lead magnets? Is the data speaking back and forth between the systems?
Yeah,
at this
so
point?
we picked our tools very specifically. I wasn't using Drip before because they didn't have an integration with lead pages. And so I liked lead pages more than any other tool. So I was using Campaign Monitor, which is another email marketing tool, because they integrated with lead pages. Well, when Drip introduced their lead pages integration, I was like, all right, I'm canceling Campaign Monitor using Drip. So when you're thinking about what tools to use, that's a very good point. Make sure that the tools you're choosing integrate with each other. Like we have our blog allows us to put Facebook pixels on it, which that's how we target people with Facebook. Our landing page tool integrates with our email marketing tool. Our email marketing tool can integrate with our CRM if we chose a CRM that wasn't Trello. But I haven't found a good one yet. And then from Trello, we're manually taking closed deals and putting them into our project management tool, and that's kind of a manual handoff between the marketing and sales team and the project management team right now. So, and again, that's mostly, I'm still the founder of a 12-person company, so I'm still doing a lot of that stuff. So, it's still a lot of manual stuff. Yeah.
What do you use for like a financial system?
So I use QuickBooks, which I hate, but there's not a lot of other good ones out there.
Can you integrate your marketing platforms with QuickBooks to understand what your marketing spend is per?
Yeah,
funnel?
actually we do know that. One of the things I didn't get a chance to talk about because it's a little more like in the weeds, I just want you guys to start building a sales funnel, is starting to know the most important thing about a sales funnel other than the demographics is knowing what your cost per customer is. Like for us, like one of the things that really roadblocked me for a while was I was getting to the point where I was spending like $100, $200 a day on Facebook ads, and it was like, you don't close those sales right away because if they're, even if they're 1 to 2 weeks, like you're still waiting 1 to 2 weeks to maybe close a sale for somebody who maybe, put their email in a landing page. But now we're getting to the point where, and some of your businesses might be longer sales cycles, so you're spending money on advertising for a month, 2 months, and hoping that those people that clicked on that post or like entered their email address on day 1 close on day 60. So that's 60 days where you're like, please God, let the $100 I'm spending a day like work. And that's a hurdle that I had to get over. But you have to do it. Like for us, we got to the point where we did it where it was, do we have the money to do it? Like whether I wanted to spend it or not, like okay, yeah, let's spend it. And now we're at the point where our cost per lead is about, I think right now we're at like $80 a lead. So $80 in Facebook ads we're spending to get 1 lead, and that's a warm lead, like not somebody who's going to close. And then for cost per customer, somebody who actually buys from us, we're spending about $1,500 to $2,000, which is a lot. I mean, that's not a little bit of money, and that's like an aggregate of all the money we're spending on Facebook ads. If we're spending $1,000 on Facebook ads, we're getting, or $2,000 on Facebook ads, we're getting 1 new customer. But the other important part of that is how much is a customer worth? And for us, the average customer worth is somewhere between $15,000 and $30,000. So if we're spending $2,000 on getting the customer, but we're spending or we're making $20,000 from that, like I'll do that every day. The hard part is figuring out how to get to that point. And for a lot of startups that we work with too, like that's what they're looking for. That's what investors are looking for. Like, if I give you $1 million, like how much money are you going to turn that into? So, yeah.
So once you've closed the business, do you guys have like a structured sort of onboarding or customer success people that are sort of walking your new clients through the process?
Yeah. So we've productized Pier as much as possible. Like if you go to our website, you'll see that we have very defined packages. And that's not normal for an agency. Most agencies don't have any pricing, any packages on their website. It's just like, give us a call and we'll figure out what you need, right? For us, we knew that wouldn't work for startups because they want to know what price is up front. And to let them know what price is up front, you have to structure packages. So for like validation package, right, which is we'll build you a landing page, we'll do some initial PR, and we'll figure out whether your idea is actually worth anything. It's $1,500. That's less than this, less than the $2,000 and less than this, right? So when I say the average customer value is $20,000, 90% of clients who opt in for the validation end up opting in later for development. So we don't make money off of this package. We lose money off of validation. It's only $1,500.
Is this your
It's nothing.
online channel? So like, is it all self-set up?
Yeah, it's all set. Yeah, and so when we sell this, we know right away we're losing probably about $1,000. But we do that because we know 90% of people end up turning into development clients, which means I'll lose $1,000 on this in profit if I can make this. And so if it gets somebody to buy from us, a lot of people in sales know, like, when somebody buys from you the first time, it's a lot easier to sell them the second time, the third time, the fourth time, if you're good at servicing them. And so we've gotten to the point where we can make decisions like this where it's inexpensive and we lose money on it because we know we'll make money down the road. So, any other questions? Yeah.
Your first contact, does it come via email or phone? Do you prefer email or phone?
Yeah.
Like,
So for us, we prefer, so on our website right now, we have, here we go. We let people schedule a call with us from the website. And one of the things I recommend for you as you're building out your sales funnel and your website and your online presence is remove as much friction as possible from that user. Like, most of the times, like when I was working at other agencies, we just had you had an email address and a contact form, and it's like a contact form had 4 fields in it, and then I had to put in a description, which was like, what do you want? And I'm like, I don't know what I want. What am I supposed to put in here? With this, there is none of that. They click on this, they can choose a time that fits them, and so there is no, again, it's not just a contact form, but it's also no back and forth on, oh, what time's good for you? What time works for you? Like, well, I'm out of town that week, and it's like, no. Calendly is one of the best tools because it integrates directly with my calendar and our sales team's calendar, so they can only schedule a time that all of us are available, which is awesome.
Calendly.
Calendly, yeah, it's right here. Calend, and then LY at the end, yeah.
Are you guys a Google shop?
In terms of like Google apps, like Gmail and stuff,
Yeah.
yeah.
Google Apps Drive, so you can.
But I don't use Google Drive or anything. But yeah, we integrate that directly with our Google Calendar. Yeah, and this only works, I think, with Outlook and Gmail. So
Are you limited by geography at all?
no, so 80% of our clients come from outside of Charleston and Nashville, and the reason for that is because going back to that demographic, because we chose that demographic, our clients don't care where we are. If they're in Los Angeles and there's an agency in town that says we do. And if you go to other agency websites, we do everything for everybody. Like, we'll do anything technical for you for whatever, as long as you pay us enough money to do it. If they have an agency like that in their town in LA, but then they find us through reading a blog or whatever, and they see that we only work with startups, if they're our target customer, the chance of them working with us is really high. And so we're not limited by geography. It's funny because we didn't have our website or our location on our website or our team pictures until a month ago. It was just a bunch of other stuff, and it didn't hurt us at all. The only reason I did it is because when I decided to move back to Charleston 2 months ago and have our headquarters here and grow our team here, when I left, we were 3 people. Like, I did tell people we were like the Dollar General of development agencies. It was like, we'll do anything, just pay us money to do it. And now we're kind of like, we went from Dollar General to like Walmart to like Target, and now we're like between Target, Publix, and Whole Foods, and I put our team photos on there because I needed people to not remember us for what we were a year ago when I left, but to know who we are now, which is 12 people. We're a company, not Jake's merry band of friends like we were a year ago. So.
Take one more question. I think, Debbie,
Do you visit your clients physically, or is it all online?
So we try to do that if they're in a startup ecosystem and we can like absorb the cost. So like if they're in Austin or if they're in Raleigh or if they're in Chattanooga or Knoxville or New York or LA or whatever, we try, but we don't do it because we want to or need to visit them in person. A lot of our agency is set up remote, so like we use Slack for team communication. We invite all of our clients into their own private Slack channel with our development team. We invite them into our project management tool, which is teamwork.com right now. And so they get a lot of that transparency without having us be in the room. The reason we do that is it just gives us an excuse to ride off a trip to go and see another startup ecosystem, which for us is important because LaunchPier isn't a Charleston company, and we weren't a Nashville company. We're a nationwide company. We have clients even overseas. Like we had a couple clients from Sweden. A client from China tried to hire us to build a drone, which was really weird, and I turned down because I used to be in the Army, and I was like, that's kind of shady. And then we have a couple clients in Canada, so we're not restricted by geography. I'd say once you build a good sales funnel, geography won't matter at all. Taking people to dinner at halls won't matter at all. Another thing that service businesses don't like to talk about is bad reviews or like bad local reputations. You could have one really unhappy customer in Charleston, and they can ruin your reputation in all of Charleston. But if you have a good sales funnel and you're good at what you do, Charleston, at the end of the day, won't matter that much. We could stop getting clients in Charleston right now and be more than fine. It is nice though to get referrals, but we don't need them. It's nice. But anyway, if you guys have any other questions or want to get a hold of me, my email is very, very simple, and I'll leave some business cards up here. Jake@launchpier.com, and my phone number's on my card. It's my cell phone number, so if you ever want to chat, just hit me up, okay? And I will answer you, I swear. So, all right.
Thank you, Jake.
Yeah.
Seemed like I wanted to know more the deeper you got. So,
Yeah. I know.
So I think just for first of all, in addition to thanking Jake, Liz is here at Guthridge, basically, who made a presentation earlier this year, and so is Laura, and who made a presentation on effective communication, Camacho. And over the last year, I think some of you have heard me say that we'll do a counterpart to Code Talk. So we just had a great Code Talk presentation. It was a half day on machine learning and augmented reality, something that is more of interest to the development community. But we are in 2017. We're planning right now, and we're going to do 2 BizTalk sessions. So it's an all day, with Ted's lunch, and I kind of wrote down basically as I was standing over there. It's more about communication, about sales, and about social media. So it's not the kind of deep strategic planning. It's very tactical things that you should be doing, practical things, and that's going to be all day. We're probably going to roll that out in February. So it's going to become sort of a counterpart to our Code Talk series that we're also doing twice a year. So my recommendation is, if you've attended a Friday's presentation, probably in the next week to 10 days, you'll get an email from us thanking you and telling you what you can look forward to in 2017. And also, basically, I want you all to do this. Basically, just take 2 minutes. It's Fridays at charlestondigitalcore.com. Respond and say, hey, I would like to know. This is a topic I would like to know. There's a lot of expertise, basically, in the community here. So things that y'all are struggling with, not big strategy things. I just want to get away from that. Just tactical things that can be effective. You walk out of here, I was just amazed. Think about the social media side of things and the spend on Facebook ads. We now are a product, basically company ourselves. We've got, we're just about to launch Source South Carolina, which is basically sitting on a code base that is Charleston Works. We've got CodeCamp, that's a product. So we've got 4 or 5 products. So I'm thinking the same way, and I've been thinking the same way like you guys, but now it's becoming even more defined for me. So thanks for coming out again. It just, whatever you're thinking, we just kind of aggregate all the input we get, and then we can kind of select the topics. It'll be 3 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon with a nice lunch. So basically, sort of a 9 to 3 breakfast. 3 presentations, just like this. They go on for an hour, and we'll do it probably sometime in February, because in March we're going to Code Talks, in April the race. So we just have a lot of stuff kind of planned ahead. But appreciate you guys coming out today, and Jake, as he said, he's always available. And we were glad, basically, he came through and kind of shared some knowledge with us. Thanks again.
Yeah.